All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Merage Talk. This is the first Merage Talk of 2023. Our itinerary is getting full for the first quarter of the year with lots of interesting speakers. And our first one is distinguished Mr. Raw, Stefan. I'll have you take over the stage and continue with your Merage Talk. The stage is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Eli. So, I'm really excited. Nice to meet you guys. I call myself Mr. Raw because that's something my friends started calling me here 10 years ago. And at some point, a couple of years ago, I said, fuck it. I'll just call myself Mr. Raw. And my name is Stefan Adamson, and I'm a normal human being. I'm 45 years old. I've got 3 kids, and I just moved to Germany from Denmark because I met the love of my life. You know how that story goes. So let's hope for the best there. And I'm pretty excited to be here today, especially today, because today, in fact, is my 10 years of anniversary of when my journey as a mentor for other people started. And I've always, at least for 10 years, wanted to help other people and make them succeed even better in their endeavors, especially for startup founders and alike. I myself have been a startup founder my entire life, since I was 11, I think. I don't know how not to start up a company. So I had a lot of learnings. Very quickly, I had at least 10 startups I can put my name on and can be some kind of proud of. I sold 4 companies and I went bankrupt twice. And that really hurt. But on the other hand, I would never have gotten my first American investor on board one of my companies if I hadn't went bankrupt, because it also, of course, shows that you dare to do something, and not least you know what happens in the end if the shit hits the fan. And 10 years ago, I, at least on paper, had $500 million on my bank account because I started a company with my best friend within the shipping industry, where we literally created a new way of working in the entire shipping market. Our technology that we invented and developed in the end showed actually we could literally predict the pricing on commodities in the world a month before everybody else. And when you can do that, you're worth a lot of money. Unfortunately, the investors we brought on board, and that's actually my lesson number 1 to any founder, is pretty important what investors you bring on board. Especially there's a thing when you are alive that can happen to you. You can die. And that's what literally happened to one of our investors in that company. It was called Copenhagen Shipping Exchange. This guy turned out to be, we didn't know his actual name at the beginning. He turned out to be Russian, and it's called Berezovsky, or I'd rather say called Berezovsky, because what happened at that point of time, it was in Europe. He had a partner back from Russia called Abramovich, which he's pretty famous in Europe. I don't know if you know him in America. He bought a football club, a soccer club, anyway, Berezovsky, he went to court with Abramovich, wanting to sue him for, I think it was 8 billion pounds. And he won the court case and went to his hotel room and committed suicide. And that's when I learned that when you have a dead Russian investor on board, you are not able to attract any more investors to your company. So that was the first hit I really got in my face. It was a knockout, but I stood up again. But actually today, I would say, actually in an hour, it's the 10th year anniversary for where my mother died of cancer. And that was the second punch I got in my face where I just literally laid flat down on the ground and got a depression and felt very, very sad for myself for a couple of years. But having done so many startups in my life, I was like, fuck, what's going on with my head? I don't want to have a depression. I want to get out of it. I hate having this cloud on me. So I went out and tried to find a solution. And one of the solutions I went for was listening to a lot of TED Talks. And there was this specific TED Talk that I can't remember because I had a depression. All I remember is that it was a shaman, and he said, "What makes you most happy is by helping others." So that was what I began to do. I started helping tens and hundreds of new coming founders who wanted to create their own company. And within that whole journey, helping people to become successful, it turns out when you help other people, it makes you happy. So I came out of my depression, and since then I built already some couple of companies, and what I like to spend half of my life doing is actually being a mentor and helping startup founders become successful. And taking my whole life into account, I learned how you create real traction in a company. And here also, especially these 10, 12 years ago, when I was a so-called billionaire having a unicorn, I had a weird experience with a lot of investors, because they were all talking about product market fit. And I was like, what do you mean? And every time I asked them, they couldn't tell me what product market fit was. Maybe they could tell me what it was, but no one could actually really tell me how I achieved it. You know, product market fit, meaning my product fits my market and vice versa, which of course makes sense, but how do you do it? And that's one of the learnings I'm gonna tell you. It's pretty short because it turns out it's pretty easy. And then I'm going to tell you on how I believe you should gain traction with your startup in general, because you have three ways of doing things on the commercial side of a company. I'm not going to go into how much on the product side. It's more on the commercial side this I'm talking about. And you have three stages in my mind. Especially Israeli founders, they have a very good, nice focus on sales, which I love, because I myself am a commercial founder. I love to enjoy and see the traction coming in the company, and finding out how, finding out why, finding out how everything is done, so you can actually start scaling it or copy pasting it onto something that can become even better and bigger. And one thing I learned with startups as well is I haven't been able to find one single startup that has not pivoted into something else before it actually became a real success. So that's the learning number two, after coming from picking the right investors as well, is that you will always, and probably 99.9% of all cases, you will probably need to pivot at some point before you actually start gaining real traction and real success with your company. So the three stages, I put them in. You have business development, you have marketing, and then you have sales. And I like to usually focus a lot on business development, because business development, that's the core main first stage, where you find out the most crucial information you gain. And that is, I would say 99% of the time, finding out why customers would like to buy from you. 4 years ago, I built a company called Raw Research, still running. It's running out of London. And I built the company on a crazy thesis, because when I started helping all these men, all these founders, I realized one thing: if you had two founders and you ask them this single question, why do you believe your customers will buy from you? If you have two founders you usually at least, and I would say at least in this, you at least get 2 different answers. I then also learned if you have a company with 10 different people in the company, and you ask them, each of them, why do you believe your customers buy from you? When you have 10 employees, you get 10 different answers. And that just blows my mind in some way, because when you think of it, any company at all, if you buy from a company, there is a reason for why you buy from this company. And that reason is actually the only reason why that company exists. Because if there wasn't that reason for buying from this company, there wouldn't be any business model, there wouldn't be any revenue going on in that company, because people wouldn't be buying. Now, the beauty is when I just told you, when you ask internally in a company, why do you believe your customers buy from you? They don't know. I actually learned that only 1 out of 25 B2B companies in the world, only 1 out of 25, that's 4. If I have 100 founders in a group gathering just like this, only 4 of you would actually know what the fuck you're doing. Pardon my French. And the fun part is when you go and ask those customers who bought from you already, they usually tend to say the same. In fact, 80% of your customers would state the same reasons for why they buy from you. And usually that reason is actually your unique selling point in your market, because usually, of course, you're not alone in your own market. You have competitors, but the unique reason why they buy from you is usually the same, from customer to customer to customer to customer. So here is the beauty about achieving product market fit. And that is, as soon as you start selling for the same reasons that your customers are buying, you have product market fit. Because now you are starting to actually talk the same language. You are telling your customers, you should buy from me because of this and this and this and that. And the customers will be like, yeah, you're right. That's the reason why I want to buy from you. I can give you a lot of examples. God damn it, I can give you a lot of examples, but I'll give you a few now. Maybe one. Let's see how we go with it. One of my first companies I helped in raw research is called Tiny Mobile Robots. And Tiny Mobile Robots have created a robot that can mark up a football field or a soccer field or whatever field. You know, the white markings on a field. I actually don't know what you call it. White markings. Let's go with that. Anyway, when I asked the founders in the company, why do you believe your customers buy from you? They say, well, it's because they don't have to do it themselves. Because obviously, the big difference when doing it manually, apart from using a robot for it, usually when you do it manually on a soccer range, it takes you 3-4 hours. When you use a robot, you just press a button and it takes you 25 minutes and you're done. So you can stand and drink coffee while the robot works for you and you're done. So that was the immediate, pretty obvious reason why people would buy such a robot for that purpose. But when we actually went out and asked their customers, why did you buy Tiny Mobile Robots robot? Most of the clients said, because it's a lightweight robot. And in the beginning, it was one of the first customers, so I was actually the one performing the interviews with the customers. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Why are they buying a lightweight robot? Well, it turns out These robots, they were not alone on the market, and the tiny mobile robot weighs 50 pounds, whereas the competitor who does the same, it just weighs 100 pounds instead. And what is actually the difference between these two robots is when it only takes half an hour to mark up one field, you want to go to another field and mark that one up. So when it only weighs 50 pounds, you only need one person to lift it up into the car, drive to the next field, put it down, press the button, drink a coffee. But if it weighs 100 pounds, you need, of course, two people to do the same job. So that was their unique selling point. And when they started, of course, using that in their marketing, then their marketing started working. And that's where you go from push to pull, because that's when you begin talking about what actually really matters for the customers. And that's where most people actually do it wrong. Especially when I'm having different talks with these growth hackers and crazy guys who, we do a lot of testing on marketing with a lot of different messaging and stuff like that. And I'm like, stop it. First, start talking to your customers. Because when you start talking to your customers, you will understand why they buy from you. And when you know why they buy from you, try use that in your messaging. Try use that in your marketing, because that's when marketing start working. So why spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of testing different messages and on what you think is the right thing for your company to do in the right way, when you might as well just call 20 customers and you'll find out the real reasons. And then you're already so much further than anybody else. So the real, and that's what I didn't realize that before I started helping as a mentor. I didn't realize that was actually the magic spice for the most successful founders in the world. Those who are most successful, usually, of course, there are a few when you say, this guy did that and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but if you take most of the startup founders, those who actually succeed are those who talk to customers. And those who succeed as founders are founders that are talking to customers, because that's the whole product market fit, gadgeting, fidgeting, making sure that what you're actually selling, what you're actually proposing to your market is actually what your customers want. Thank you, Ron, for that. Luckily, I can say we were working with tiny mobile robots, so I wasn't capable of going to this green robot and asking, maybe I should help you. But it could have actually been quite interesting to see why they bought from them. I actually don't know, but that's a very good point. They were there before tiny mobile robots came onto their market, actually. So they were probably alone. So that's why they were fat and slow. And the reason why tiny mobile robots is just wiping them off the streets. But good question, Ron. Yeah, and it is actually quite, it's peculiar when I know already, because I have that from my statistics from my company, Raw Research, that only 1 out of 25 companies actually realize and know for a fact why their customers buy from them. How many can actually improve? Now, when you're a startup founder, for instance, for a B2B SaaS company or any B2B kind of product, it doesn't even have to be B2B. It can be B2C, B2G, B2 whatever you want to be. What you need to do, because you can't talk to customers before you have customers, right? That doesn't make much sense. So what you need to do is to talk to potential customers. And there is only one time in life where people don't lie to you. Many founders, they call up and ask the market, hello, we're a new company, we got a new product, please can you help me? I'd like to interview you and blah, 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 blah. Please come and help. And a lot of people want to help, but they won't tell you the truth. They will only tell you the truth of what they really mean about what you're selling when you are actually trying to sell the product to them. And it's actually pretty easy to do. And it all comes back to that value proposition, unique selling point, the value proposition that you're giving to your market. Because the value proposition is your product. Meaning, if you are capable of formulating what you are selling in a manner that allows your customer to think, that actually sounds really interesting, then you probably have a product that can be sold. So what I've done with hundreds of founders, mostly in Europe, but also both in Israel and actually also in the States. I have 2 customers in my favorite place in the world, Venice Beach, where the first thing I always do with founders is I want them to talk to 100 potential customers. Because when you've talked to 100 potential customers about your product, you know what's right, you know what's wrong. But most people, we are taught, probably because of our mother and father, that a no, when people tell you no, it really, really hurts. And that's why most people don't dare to do this cold calling. But I dare any founder to do it, because what is actually most important is not to get the no, but it is to understand why they say no. So here is tip number 3 on how you cold canvas call and test out your market in regards to your product. First of all, you replicate a list of people you want to call. I usually recommend people to use some of these technologies where you actually get their mobile number, so you can call them directly so they actually pick up, because I guess the fewest people actually still have an old time phone. And I'm not going to put out any names, just Google. There are many products out there, and most of them are quite free. So all this is actually just for free. Anyway, you make a list with 100 customers you think that could buy a product. I don't care if it's tennis balls. In fact, one founder I helped, he invented a racket of bulbs that he put on golf courses. You know, when you drive, the driving range, I think it's called. He made two long sticks with light bulbs on, and throughout the day, the light bulbs changed position. Because what you have on the driving range, you have usually it's 2 wooden blocks, and you are supposed to, I don't know anything about golf, so that's where you hit the ball between these 2 green things. And I said, and he said, so do you think I can sell a lot? I said, I don't know. Ask your market. So this was in Denmark. In Denmark, we have 200 golf courses. And I told him, okay, call the first 100. We created a pitch. And the pitch is literally, hello, my name is Stefan Naversen. I call from this company. I sell this value proposition. Would you like to talk to me about this? And then the respondent can say yes, or he can say no. So if he says no, there are 3 reasons why he says no. The first reason is you're a schmuck, you're annoying to listen to, so you really just don't want to talk to you, then you got to work on that, of course. The second reason is that he actually picked up the phone, but actually didn't have time to talk to you. And the third reason is that he doesn't actually want to talk to you about your value proposition. So when you ask, I sell this value proposition, would you like to talk to me about this? And he says no. You ask, I'm sorry, can you tell me why you don't want to talk to me? Because it actually turns out that every second time you ask that question is because they don't have time to talk to you. It's because I don't have time. Okay, can I call you another time? Yeah, sure, call me tomorrow. If you call me 9:15, I would have 7 minutes for you. Okay, thanks very much. And then you actually have a potential lead you can talk to, and who actually wants to listen to you as well. But most importantly, if he doesn't want to talk to you about your value proposition, he will now tell you why he believes that value proposition is wrong. And that's juice. Imagine you have 50 different answers on why your product is not sellable to a specific crowd. Imagine what you can do with that intelligence. Imagine how you can mold your product into something that really matters. Now, the fun part is, of course, when people say yes, and this is the hard part, by the way, because especially when you try to sell, when people say yes, you just start talking. Oh, and yeah, so we do this and blah, blah, blah. No, don't do that. You ask them, why do you want to talk to me about this? Because now they will tell you why this value proposition actually works for you. And that's mind-blowing, by the way. So anyway, when he said yes, and you asked him why, he told you why. He, by the way, also thinks about why he actually likes your value proposition. Then you come with your elevator pitch. So yeah, so we sell this robot. It only takes 25 minutes, blah, blah, blah. You can press a button. Whatever pitch you have, you pitch your product. And then what you ask afterwards, you pitch your product. You ask, what do you think of this? Now, if your pitch was rubbish, they will tell you it was rubbish. And yes, it hurts a little, but it doesn't hurt you any longer, because it's not you anymore that matters. It's the pitch that matters, you know? So when I ask you, so what do you think of this? Well, I think that sucks. Oh, really? Why? Because now you actually want to know why, because now you can start improving your pitch. And your pitch is the same as your product in the end. So if he actually likes your pitch after telling you why he wants to talk to you about your value proposition, would you call that a potential customer? I'll call it damn hot. So this golf guy who created these things, he called me a week later after we created his pitch, and he was like totally depressed. It's like, oh shit. I said, well, what's wrong? I don't think it went that well. What? You called all 100, didn't you? I said, yeah, I called. I got to talk to all of them. Okay, yeah, only half of them wants to buy from me. I said, what? What? So it turned out that every second golf course he actually talked to, they wanted to buy from him. So he was, I was like, that was crazy, you know, from a sales guy's point of view. I never heard of 50% sales rate, but this was actually happening. So he said, what am I going to do? Well, I suggest you call the next 100. And what happened with the next 100? They want to buy from him as well. So that's how he got his first 100 clients just within 2 weeks. Well, this is, of course, a beautiful case of where things can really go really good. Most other cases go another way. I would say 1 out of 5 startups who I helped with this type of activity, helping them to call 100 potential clients. 1 out of 5 die, not die literally, but die on their endeavor with their product on that way, because they realize that was just a stupid idea I had. And especially when you're an engineer, you have a lot of people sitting in the basement or in the garage thinking and hoping for 3 to 5 years, building something that literally nobody wants to buy ever. And then, of course, we hear a few stories here and there that there were actually this engineer who created something that everybody wanted to buy. And Apple is one, and you know, all these we know. But I just suggest any engineer to get some business developer kind of person to actually go out in the market and try to sell. Because when you try to sell, instead of asking for people's mercy, you get the truth. And the truth is what you need in order for your product to match your market and vice versa. So that's literally the fastest way for anyone to achieve product market fit. Talk to your customers and find out why. Any questions? Good stuff. So to wrap it up, number 1, do your due diligence on your investors. Find your product market fit by finding out what your value proposition is, what your unique selling point is. Talk to your customers, because that will in the end show to you. It even goes with not only the customers, also the investors. When you're out raising money, it's the same procedure. You know, we are raising money for this value proposition. Do you want to join? No. Why?
Stefan, I have a couple of comments, questions.
Yes, Chuck.
We can't leave such an excellent presentation without comments. It's not possible.
Thank you. I was getting to be a little hot there, but yeah.
No worries. So first of all, I think that one of the challenges that I see in the context of what you're talking about, one of the biggest challenges is founders more often than not fall on their ego. And your recommendation and your challenge to them to ask the most simple but most important questions is more often than not the reason we have, let's call it solutions looking for problems instead of vice versa.
Yeah,
as we say, and really really the excellent, really superb take home from this discussion excuse me, is really the challenge of the young entrepreneurs, or not even young, any entrepreneurs that really believe in their products, their ability to hear what the market's response is to them. And your example of you need to get the facts on the golf specifics, because it's actually really interesting what exactly that's somebody that golfs 3 times a week. I really want to know what the product was that they were selling. But
yeah, I it's many years ago now.
My point is that truly this is one of the real challenges, is people are so in love with their product and they truly believe in their product that they really are not open enough to hear and receive market responses. So Really the wonderful emphasis on you have to ask the questions and keep them simple. And your transition, your recommended transition, actual practical transitions of how to go about it are really simple and excellent. It's actually quite brilliant. And I think the real challenge is taking young companies that are going out and finding out what the real response is. Like your factual comment that the companies that make it, it's always the second or third product, or it's the evolution of an original idea into what the market needs are. And above all, my only additional comment to what it's not the first cell that counts, it's the second cell, because the second cell means you're on the right track.
I would actually say it's the 10th sale.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because because the second always is something different as well, and then the third is more different, and then it starts aligning, going up. So
really, but really to the young entrepreneurs that follow and really the Merage organization services these young companies so terrifically, really terrifically. I'd recommend to to Merage to make this your presentation be compulsory to any young company, because this is where they fall. They don't respond. They aren't paying attention to the market, and above all, they're stuck on what.
And you're also mentioning the ego. The point is, when you haven't talked to your customers, your ego is fake. So you will at some point fall, and it will hurt you a lot. So why not just, why not just talk to those 100 customers? Because when you've talked to those 100 customers, I will show you ego. And I will also show you ego in regards to potential investors, customers, employees, anything, because you cannot argue with a founder who's 100% sure why his product actually works. And he's
so here's maybe a very simple analogy to offer. The ego is extremely important in any company, in any startup. Is actually that ego that drives entrepreneurs and startups. It is equally the greatest downfall, because the transition to parking your ego, once it's what drives you, your ability to park that ego to hear and listen and respond is the transition from a good idea into a successful organization. But really, Stefan, excellent presentation, truly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any other comments from the audience or questions? I would love to spell out any extra story coming in.
Stefan, maybe a comment on what you said. First of all, I agree that this has been a wonderful talk and very inspiring. For technology type of product, it might be a little bit more complicated.
Nope.
You don't think so?
Nope. I built 4 B2B SaaS companies, sold companies worth $24 million. The answer is very, very fastly. Nope. Because the point is, and that's the fun part of the engineer kind of type, or the full stack CTO guy who makes everything complex. The point is, he doesn't buy something from other people that is too complex. So if you're not capable of actually telling people in a language that anybody can understand, you will not get that traction you will need in order to succeed that much. I helped an Israeli guy guy called Sagi, and they were washing data. You know, when you get data from different kinds of sources, then they were standardizing the data so it comes out in the same output. So I said, so you have a washing machine, right? And he was like, God, you're right. You know, he was just talking for several minutes of what they were doing. You know, okay, so you have a washing machine for data. Yeah, okay. Then you can go on. You know, it's much easier when you, and I've learned here the last year, if you're not capable of telling what you're selling within 7 seconds, you've lost it. So you got 7 seconds.
Yep. I want to, you know, it's interesting that you would make that comment. As someone that has spent my life taking very, very complex technologies and selling them into the market, Stefan is not only 100% correct. If you can't translate it into something simple, and even if you walk into an IBM or a Cisco and you cannot explain something in simple terms, let the smart people figure it out. They know how to translate it, but it has to be in simple terms. I want to tell you that one of the first things that Merage does in the first day or the first 2 days is the elevator pitch, the teaching of the elevator pitch in your seminars. It is transformative for every single person that comes into that into the executive program. It is truly transformative, and it's done right at the beginning, and it's done for a good reason. But
and the process of actually creating it is so hurtful, because you have to dumb yourself down on intelligence because you think you got it all figured out. But if 2 weeks ago I was helping a guy from London. I love helping people who are doing something good with their companies. So he created a platform to ensure investments in Africa are actually, the money are actually put out in the right projects. And he was like telling me for several minutes what he was doing. And I was like, okay, so here's a task for you. Now you're gonna shake your head, and then you're going down to the local pub. You're gonna drink a pint, and you're gonna sit with your next neighbor sitting next to you, and you start explaining him what you're doing. And after you've explained it to him, ask him, so what am I doing? And he said back the next day, I needed to go through 7 different people before I could finally start saying what I'm actually doing with my company.
7 different people and 7 different pints?
Yeah, he got drunk. But he was thrilled. He was so thrilled. So I think it was Ron who asked how I work with companies. It really depends on where the company is, and it really depends on how the founders are or who the founder is. I always go in directly and work with the founder, because if you can make the founder successful, everything else falls into the good pieces. So it all depends on who the founder is, what kind of type he is, and why he's in the project, why he's doing it, why his ego wants to succeed.
Stefan, this talk is being recorded and will be on the Merage Talk website. So if people see that and want to contact you, what is the best way to approach you?
Well, most people just they go on LinkedIn, they find Mr. Raw or Stefan Adamson, connect with me, and let's start having a talk. And it you don't have to be a startup founder. You don't even have to be a founder. I also helped a lot of CEOs. I usually like to say, which I don't know, I'm 45 years old. I know I'm not the oldest guy here, but I feel old with all the startups I've been doing and stuff like that. So I also even help the mentors. I have 3 clients who are mentors for others. So I like challenging myself in helping real people that are actually doing something really good. Because, you know, if you're capable of doing such, why not do something good?
Wonderful. Are there any more questions to Stefan? All right. So, Stefan, on behalf of Paul Merage and the Merage Institute, thank you so much for your time. I don't think we could have found any better way to start 2023.
Let's go. 2023 is going to be amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.